All right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwath that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. And I want to start off with Ephesians 6 and 10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord Yahweh Shai and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. All right, and the main focal point is against principalities and against spiritual wickedness in high places. All right, which is a quick little testimony. So going into principalities, all right, that goes into actual demons. All right, and then against spiritual wickedness in high places is also, involving with these demons. All right. And we're in the middle of the winter solstice right now. So, you got these elites that are doing a lot of high level witchcraft. Okay. Right now in these times. And basically what I want to get into is, going into what I've been going through in the last, couple days with my wife and my son being in the hospital. Okay. My unborn child. All right, which, again, to water you brothers, to water Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for having brothers pray for me and a few sisters. And again, those prayers definitely pierced the clouds. And, just thinking today, me and my wife was really thinking about it, and, I believe through the spirit that the Lord really revealed to me what just went down with my wife ended up going into premature labor. All right. But it's something deeper to it. All right. So basically we were sitting there and we was trying to figure out why this happened all of a sudden. Because remember, at the end of the day, we have to observe all these things, man, that happens around us. And we have to constantly examine ourselves. So, when things happen to us, a lot of it is because Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah trying to get our attention to something. It's also, a test of your faith when you go through these unfortunate situations, but a lot of it really goes into the Lord trying to get your attention, and draw you closer to him, or just get your attention in something, period, and it really finally clicked why me and my wife went through what we went through. All right, because here it is, everything's been perfectly fine, my child's perfectly healthy. All right, and then all of a sudden, for her to just at 5.5 months to end up going into premature labor. All right. It was just very weird. And, we always had the trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. He's been getting us through this the whole entire time anyway, but it was still just weird that we had to think about what was going on, and through the spirit, the Lord revealed to us what actually happened. All right. Because I get my herbs from someone. All right. Which is a store around my way, you know what I'm saying? So we always constantly get in our sea moss, and, which brothers and sisters, a lot of brothers and sisters use that sea moss a lot, because it's very healthy. You got, over 132, somewhere around that number, minerals, nutrients that are, and that's all that my wife has been using, instead of using these, these doctors' recommendations, prenatal vitamins and all that. And basically, what we really picked up on today was that all of a sudden, this Friday that just passed, my wife changed her regimen a little bit, and her changing her regimen, she added a new ingredients of herbs, all right, which was called red clover, okay, which is supposed to be good. It's very good for you. It cleanses you, But it was crazy because the person that we buy it off of us gave it to us, for free and gave it, gave us a couple of other herbs and things like that. All right. And I don't think he meant to intentionally do this. And the reason I say that is because if he was trying to just get us to, get it to make us buy something and, make more money off of us, he would have never gave it to us for free. So he gave us a bunch of different herbs for free to try, but he basically said it was good for pregnancy, right? So Friday and Saturday, my wife took those new herbs, the red clover, and actually used them. All right. She only had 1 cup on Friday, early in the morning with tea, making a tea out of it. And Saturday, the same thing. But it was crazy because she started to have symptoms those days. All right. So this happened actually on Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday, she started to feel a lot of pain. All right. Basically to the point of Monday, all right, which was yesterday. And that's how we ended up early in the morning in the hospital. And she was just going because she thought she had a UTI, because it's common when you have pregnancy, sometimes you get a UTI. She was having, a burning sensation. I mean, not a burning sensation. She was having a low abdominal pain. She was pissing frequently, okay? And her piss had a little bit of stench to it, so usually when that happens is a UTI. All right. So what went down was right after she had those symptoms and it was happening too much. That's when we decided to go check to see if she had, a UTI so she can get antibiotics for it. And then when she went there, this is where it all started, going into, to the hospital. And next thing you know, she started bleeding. And then next thing you know, she's going into this premature labor. And literally she was going through premature labor, constant contractions every 5 minutes. All right. And this goes to show how the prayer of the brotherhood, all right, and the few sisters, of the body of Yahweh Shai, pierced the clouds, because I shit you not, when I finished doing a certain video and the brother Daniela in UK did a certain video and brothers threw prayers up, all of a sudden, my woman wasn't going through any of that no more, since that time till now, perfect. It's like if it never happened, but me and my woman being in the hospital this whole time, constantly throwing up prayers to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, the Lord revealed onto us, I believe through the Spirit, what it was. So what happened was that the red clover, when you take the red clover, it actually it purifies your blood, it cleanses your blood, and it thins your blood out. But what we didn't know, because we looked it up and something put the Spirit on us to start looking it up while we was just chilling in the hospital. And we looked it up and we realized that it actually is bad for a woman that is pregnant, because it can literally send her into premature labor, or you can have a premature baby, or you can also have birth defects. Okay. So when we've seen that, we put 2 and 2 together. It was like, and she already had in her spirit, like, man, I wonder if it was the red clover. And that's what made us look it up, deeper. Because remember, you have to look these things up, what you're putting into your body. And, we just took it, when the guy said, this is good for pregnancy, we're thinking in our heads, all right, more vitamins for the baby, without researching it right then and there, And again, this guy, I don't think he intentionally went to do it, to give it to us. All right. But I will tell you this, what it becomes very spiritual about it is that there was an old lady that walked into that shop. Okay. And she came in there, and I shit you not, this lady, when she did walk in, okay, I felt through the Spirit, like when I looked at her like, damn, this chick looked like a damn old ass village witch from one of these movies you will see on TV, one of those old village witches that's walking with a cane, with a hunchback, okay? And she looked like she was from one of those, it might have been, a Haitian She might be Haitian, but she was definitely from the Southern Kingdom. All right, for sure. Okay, and Southern Kingdom is known, all right, not so much with Judah, but a lot with Levi, all right, the Haitians, all right, and a lot of, Benjamin, okay, going into, Jamaicans, those from Barbados, a lot of them are into witchcraft, okay, but we didn't think nothing of it till now, and the Lord put the Spirit on us, you see. And remember, we in the middle of the winter solstice, and through the Spirit, I believe that, I could be wrong, but it's in my spirit heavy, that lady had demons on her, okay, and put a demon on the guy that's at the shop that we always see to give us those herbs, you see, and the fact that he gave it to us for free. He gave us 4 different types of herbs for free, not thinking nothing of it, because again, we buy, sea moss from him all the time. So it could have been just, this guy's always buying from me. So let me hook him up, you know what I'm saying? But now that I think about it and I see what it was, he told us this is good for pregnancy. Come to find out, it's actually the reverse. It's actually bad for a woman that is in pregnancy terms, you see. And that's exactly what made my woman pretty much go into that miscarry mode, because that's what it said. It said that, that it basically thins out your blood, it purifies your blood. But if a woman that's pregnant takes it, it's bad news for her, because it can make her go into premature labor. It can cause her to miscarry, okay? And it could cause birth defects, you see? So why would this guy give us that if that's what that herb is about, okay? And remember, he's the guy that deals with herbs all day long. So the simple fact that he actually told us that is good for pregnancy, but here it is when we go on the flip side and we looked it all up, it was actually horrible for a woman that was pregnant. And again, I deal with this guy all the time, but I had that feeling in that day inside that shop when that lady walked. She just had a certain aura around her that didn't seem right, but because I didn't really talk to her or anything like that, you know what I'm saying, it was weird. And then, the guy, when we were talking to him earlier in that day, and Salaki that I'm rambling on, but it's a point to it, all right, that when we were in the shop, we haven't seen him in a while. So we have been dealing with his sons a couple times, their sons got a lot of knowledge on herbs and all that. They have basically, it's like a family business. So we finally seen him and he was like, yo, how you been, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And being funny, I was like, we doing good, man. Everything is good, I said, you done got my woman pregnant with your sea moss because, even dealing with sea moss, me and my woman was always very careful, because we're not in the times to be trying to, have babies. We know exactly what time it is. But we didn't realize that sea moss is actually a very good thing for fertility, you see. So her cleansing herself with, with these sea mosses, okay, it actually cleansed her a little bit too much and made her way too fertile, And of course, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is, the author of all things, man. So if the Lord wants you to have a child, he's going to put it's going to come through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai anyway. Children are of the Lord, So, going back to it, I remember when we were done, we bought, and he was, we were talking to him and we was telling him, yo, everything here be legit. These herbs are really good and they, they heal you. But, I always told them straight up, like, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is the true healer. You can never get, because you do got weirdos, man, that they take like stones and they take herbs and they use them for the wrong reasons. Okay. Witchcraft and shit like that. And not saying I don't know if this guy does anything like that or anything like that, but I made sure that I let him know that all healing comes of the Lord, so herbs ain't shit at the end of the day when it compares to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because you can take herbs, be as healthy as you want, but if the Lord want to make you sick, okay, the Lord gonna put you in a sick state of mind, which those are all demons, okay. But you know, he asked me, he was like, yo, you know, you want to say something? I'll record you, you know what I'm saying? To, you know, let brothers know that these herbs are helpful. And that's what I did. You know, I gave him a little quick little video. It was probably like 15 seconds. Like, yo, come check out the shop. You know, if you got bad health, you know, my man's got some good herbs, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then he gathered everybody together inside the store and took a picture. You know, I guess everybody that was in the store for his own little personal use of, you know, putting it on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So all I kept thinking once we found out about this red clover, I kept thinking, it kept hitting me harder and harder in my head, remembering this fucking old lady, because she did come in with a hunchback. I don't remember if she had a stick, but she had I think she had a crutch or something, you know, to walk with. And she was bringing in a big ass fucking plant. You know, it was weird. A big ass plant from I don't know where. Oh, it was a fig tree, actually. It was a fig tree plant. And that's even more spiritual that I think about it now, because this place, scriptures talk about how this place is going to be destroyed and it's going to be like a fig tree, like a fig that's falling from a fig tree, you know, when we get, you know, the missiles hit. So it is actually spiritual, real spiritual now that I think about it. So she brought it in and she gave it to the guy as a present, you know, and that's when he took the picture of everybody, you know. And the more I think about it more and more, I really believe that lady was a fucking witch, okay? A whole witch. Now remember, this is where I'm going to go into scriptures now. We are constantly battling spiritual wickedness in high places. Before anything physical, these things are spiritual in this truth, man. So we're constantly dealing with spiritual wickedness in high places. Right? We're dealing with constant principalities. Okay, you got angels and you got demons. All right, and demons are pretty much angels on the left hand side of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, so it's a very, very big chance that that lady, even without her knowing, okay, it's just demons on her. Okay, and if she was a witch, then hey, then there might have been a certain plot behind it, you know, because these demons know who we are at the end of the day, right? Demons are here to try to take us out. You know, as a prime example, you know, demons know when you are men of the Lord. Demons know who the 1/3 is. Okay. So believe it or not, they're always trying to get at us somehow and break our faith. You know, a simple fact is I could be driving right now and a demon could jump onto somebody and just have them acting fucking crazy next to me driving and trying to crash into my car. See, and that happens. And I remember when I first came to the truth, and I've seen videos where Apostle Tahar talk about things like that. You know, this is why, excuse me, this is why you got to constantly be prayed up at all times, man, because you can go driving somewhere and a fucking demon trying to crash into your car and kill your ass, you know? You had accounts in the scriptures where you had demons that were pretty much casting out lots to see how they will kill somebody or put them to death. All right. So this exists. Okay. And it exists around us all day long. All right. And I'll give you a prime example to show you that. All right. These demons, matter of fact, let me grab this first verse. All right. This is Ecclesiasticus Sirach 39. All right, this is Ecclesiasticus 39, and I believe it's 27. All right. 28. It says, there be spirits. All right. And these spirits that is being spoken of, these are pretty much demons, man. Okay. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance. Okay. Which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Now, who's the one that made these demons, man? All right, goes back to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, because the Lord has created all things in the earth. All right. As a matter of fact, when you go into Colossians, I'll grab that real quick and go back. All right. When you go into Colossians 1, second 1 and 16. All right. It says, and this is talking about Yahweh Shai. All right. As a matter of fact, let me get it up a little bit. It says 13. Let's take it from 13. It says, who has delivered us from the power of darkness, basically from these demons, all right, from us being wicked and being casted into outer darkness, and has translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, which is Yahweh Shai, who is the image of the invisible power, the firstborn of every creature. Point. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. All right. Now, these demons are invisible. Now, there will be a time, and it's coming real soon, where people are going to see the invisible demons, and they are going to be visible at one point, because the scriptures talk about how the Lord is going to send vivid apparitions. All right. And that's pretty much going into like ghosts, but we know that these ghosts are demons. So there's going to be a point when these wicked ass people out here are going to literally experience seeing demons, you know. And if this chapter, I think is in the 13th chapter or the 11th chapter of Wisdom of Solomon, it talks about how the Lord, all right, basically going into those vivid apparitions that in the time of Egypt, when they were doing and performing their magic, all right, the Lord came back with his magic and had their asses real scared. The Egyptians were scared as hell that night, you see, because the power, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, at the end of the day is what controls all these things, you see. So it says, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities. Again, that word principalities, when you look it up, it goes into demons, angels, all right? In this case, we're talking about demons, you see? So he's created these demons or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist, you see? So the Lord, Yahweh Shai, is what created these demons, okay? So when the time comes, let's go back to where we were at in Ecclesiasticus 39 and 28. It says, for there be spirits that are created for vengeance. All right, the Lord has created demons for vengeance. All right, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. All right, yeah, they come when it's time for them to come do what they got to do. All right, the order is going to come from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. How do we know that? Because they take orders from the Lord, man. That's all right. That's why the scriptures say when the sons of God came to present themselves, this is in Job, all right? The sons of God came to present themselves. Satan came to present himself with them also, because Satan is a son of Yahweh, but on the left-hand side, you see? And Satan got his little dominions, his little minions that he run with, okay? These other demons, okay? So they are created of the Lord, all right? Another scripture to grab to prove that would be, give me a second. This is James 2 and 1 second. Let me get to it. 19. I'll take it just from 18 to bring it in. Point is at 19. It says, yeah, a man may say thou hast faith and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. This is the point, thou believest that there is one power, all right, which is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Thou do well. The devils also believe and tremble. You see, these demons also believe that there's one power, and they tremble at Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is their order. You see, so when it says back in Ecclesiasticus 39:28, it says, which in their fury lay on sore strokes, in the time of the destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. They can't wait to do what is commanded of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, to do that, you know, to go put someone to death, to go make someone crash their car into somebody, you know, go over there on the highway while someone is driving and flip their car out of nowhere, and you just see a crazy ass car accident. See, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai put the spirit on a demon to go do that, and they can't wait, all right, to go out there and do these things. You see, remember, we're always being tested of our faith. So at the end of the day, these things happen to us. The Lord, just like when he was having the conversation about Job, all right? The Lord was basically telling Satan, he was telling Satan, let me get this. He was telling Satan actually was begging him to deal with to let him deal with Job. Okay, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai basically said, go ahead. You see, got a parking, no parking, so all right, so they were having that conversation, you know, to go over there, and can I go over there basically and deal with Job? Okay, and he said, go ahead. All right, he could, as long as he didn't, you know, touch him and put him to death. That's why Satan, you know, him and his demons went after, you know, putting his children to death. You know, his wife was bugging out, you know. Them demons came up upon Job, and they also plagued them with actual boils. You see, they pretty much lost everything. These people don't know how to listen. It says clear they don't park there, but they park there anyway. All right, so that goes to show you that the Lord is the one that's in control of these demons, man. All right, and it is very well that the Lord sent the demon my way just to put us in that unfortunate situation to see what we do, you know. So again, it says Ecclesiasticus 39, and let me just check for a second and make sure I got enough. I gotta make it quick. I got 4%. All right, so let me just get straight to this point. All right, so you know, it says, let me read it again. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of them that made them. Okay, it says fire and hell and famine, death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts, scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. You see, so that's all of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man, when he puts these demons to do what they're supposed to do, get on that demon time. Okay. Oh man, I don't fit in there. How the hell they fit in there? All right, so let me grab these out real quick. As a matter of fact, get straight to the point. All right, and remember, 1 Corinthians, all right, 6:3 tells you that you are judges, okay, and that we're going to be able to judge angels, All right. Why? Because some of these angels be doing some, they plot some wicked ass schemes, man. You see? And in the kingdom, we're gonna be able to judge those demons, okay? When they go off and do some extra shit they don't need to be doing, you know? But the main point that I wanted to grab before I end this, all right? This is Acts. This is Acts 19 and 11, all right? Let's take it from there. And it's going to come down a little bit. All right, it says, and Yahweh wrought special miracles by the hands, okay, of Paul, so that from his body were brought onto the sick handkerchiefs and aprons, and the diseases departed from them, and the evil spirits went out of them. Okay, so we have the same exact power, all right, miracle power to be able to cast off demons off of people, man. And how do we do that? Through the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, okay? Through the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. It's how you cast off demons, man. You see? Through prayer and fasting, that's how you cast off these demons. Okay? Damn, these freaking guys, man. They just block that off. Why? All right. So, continuing on, these people got me all over the place right now. Let me just pull over to the side and finish this lesson before my phone dies. All right. So it says, and the evil spirits went out of them. Then certain of the vagabond Jews, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, saying, we adjure you by Yahweh Shai, whom Paul preacheth. And there were 7 sons of one.